Well, let's take a look at how the Kenyan markets have fared. Of course, reopening today after the election yesterday. You're looking at a 0.5% gain there, 4,533 points on the blue chip index. Mumia's Sugar, the top gainer for the day, up by 9.5%, and followed closely there by CIC Insurance, a 9.4% gain. Looking at some of the stocks under pressure, Kenyan Cobalt, the biggest loser, shares down 22%, down 22.2% in fact, and Total Kenya down, I'll get that number, I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but Total Kenya down 1.72%. So some of those chemical and some of the oil and gas stocks falling back on the day. Let's just quickly check in on how the currency is faring against the dollar, 85.5, and as you can see, it's shilling strength with everyone applauding the fact that so far so good when it comes to a peaceful election in Kenya. But let's take a look at how the markets have fared. Of course, reopening today with William Odhiambo, managing consultant at Elim Consulting. William, thanks for your time. So I suppose before we get into the election, this was the hot date that we've been counting down to for some time. What's your sense as to how the elections have gone so far? And just give us a recount of what's it like to be in Kenya at this point in time.
Well, thank you, Samantha. The election in Kenya went well. I personally voted. The queues were long, and Kenyans came out in large numbers to vote. But all in all, it was peaceful throughout the country. There are about 30,000 polling stations. Only one had an incident where there was violence from the Mombasa Republican Council, and one person lost their life. But all in all, the election process was peaceful. As we are right now, we're waiting for the results of the presidential elections, and the country is calm as we await the results. The commission has 7 days to announce, but they have promised that they'll deliver in 48 hours.
I mean, so far, as being reported this afternoon, we know that Kenyatta is in the lead. He needs, or the new president needs at least 50% of the votes to get a majority. So we're still waiting for confirmation of that. That being said, it does appear to have gone a lot smoother than some were anticipating. Businesses still remain shut in Kenya right now. How's that affecting the market, given the fact that I suppose everyone more focused on the election outcome as opposed to a business as usual?
Well, just to start with the politics, the results are not yet official, they are provisional. And the strategy between the two leading candidates is very different. Raila expects to get a majority of votes from many small centers, while Uhuru gets a majority of votes from fewer larger centers. And so his tally is in, but Raila's tally is yet to come in. And so it's very hard to call it at this moment.
Yeah.
In terms of how the market is responding to that, we are all delighted to see how the market performed today, really, because the turnover was still low as most people stayed out of the market to have a wait-and-see attitude. But even those who came in and participated in the market, it came out positive, and we saw a 0.5% increase in the blue chip index.
Yeah, I mean, just those visuals, just for viewers up on the screen there, that's the streets of Nairobi yesterday with voters at the polls and many retail businesses closed for the day. So that's, of course, a quiet street in Nairobi that we're seeing up on the screen. William, if we look at the likes of Kenyan Cobalt, it seems, you know, the stock are being battered certainly today. That's after Puma Energy pulling out of that deal, cancelling that deal last week Friday. And of course, with the market being closed yesterday, it seems buyers or holders rather of Kenyan rushing to the market to sell off the stock today. What do you make of that announcement and what that means for Kenyan Cobalt going forward?
Kenyan Cobalt as a counter is still strong and firm in the market. The people who would go very fast to sell off Kenyan Cobalt would be speculators, investors who are hoping to get something out of the Puma Energy deal. But all in all, it is still firm. Now, after this, of course, you would expect that the market would respond to that loss of the deal. But after this, I expect to see that it will still come back in its form.
So your views on Kenyan relative to Total right now, if you had to have those two stocks that are plays on the oil and gas sector in Kenya?
Well, Kenyan still is the market leader and will continue being, and it is still a select of any investor. In my view, of course, I mean, depending on where someone is, if I wanted a long-term investment, I would probably hold. But if I wanted something short-term to get an income, probably Kenyan would not be the counter I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at the banking sector right now, because of course we've had the results from the big banks in Kenya for 2012 come through, and even though KCB is the largest bank in the country, equities earnings just pipping KCB's 17.4 billion shillings in the full year, that profit before tax, and KCB 17.2 billion shillings. What are your thoughts on the outlook for those two blue chip banks right now? Because it seems that their growth and the rate of growth in the earnings has slowed down.
Well, it would seem so, because really what KCB is reporting now is exactly what they reported sometime back in the year, and I mean sometime last year, and maybe just a small difference, so that the growth has slowed down. I wouldn't say that it is a bad indication that there's no longer opportunities in the market. I would say that at some point a company grows beyond any possible elasticity, and so at this point probably that's where KCB is. As for Equity Bank, I think there's a considerable amount of improvement in their income, and that has been registered because last year they did 15 billion.